powerful words. We have powerful minds. We use our voices and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work. We're ready to win. We have a strategy and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection. Living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough and now I see. Yeah, I will reach my destiny. Yeah, I don't need your permission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'll win. Oh, oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now listen, I want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Cause we're gonna make some declarations in here today. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say, oh, say I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, we are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Hey, yeah, yeah.
We're going live. All right, and we are live. Welcome, everybody. I'm having a malfunction over here. Technical malfunction. All right. Phone falling. That's how you know it's going to be a real good show. When stuff just start happening, things get started. Welcome, everybody, to Impact the World Radio. I'm Cheryl Wood, your host. And we are here once a month on Wednesday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. where we bring you the best and the brightest talented people who are using their unique gifts, their voice, their story, and the things that they're passionate about to touch the world and to impact other people's lives. And I have 3 phenomenal guests here with me today. And ironically, I feel like all of them are in the space of advocacy. They're advocating for other people to live better lives, to be able to accomplish more with their lives, to be able to overcome challenges and setbacks. And so I can't wait to introduce them to you. Before I do that, I do want to thank Tammy Turner. Every time you hear that song, cue up, every time we come onto the show and every break, that is from a local talented songwriter and artist whose name is Tammy Turner. She wrote that song, she produced that song, she performed that song for a conference that I hosted a couple years ago, and the words are so powerful and poignant that we decided to adopt it here as our anthem. So you'll always hear us sharing that song, playing that song as our opening and also in our breaks. I'm shouting out, yeah, Andrea Stuckey says, I love that song. So do I. I tap my feet and my fingers every time. I'm shouting out all the amazing, wonderful people who are here through Facebook Live. We always have to give our social media folks a lot of love. So I'm saying hey to Amy Taylor, welcome. Lillian Joel, welcome. Andrea Stuckey, welcome. Arthur Philip Berrien, welcome. Tarina Oley, good to see you, welcome. Robin Bennett, welcome. Rashonda Pratt, hey sis, bonjour, yes, welcome. Let's see, Kimberly all the way from Hawaii, welcome. Arnett Rogers, and the list goes on. Ingrid Thomas, we see you, thank you for being here. You guys, I think the last time I was here, I hadn't been to Paris yet, right? Had I? So now I'm back. Bonjour, oui. Look, this thing right here, and this is what I want to, before I introduce my first guest, I want to remind you all, just go for it. Like the thing that is brewing in your spirit, the thing that keeps tapping you on the shoulder, and you try to ignore it because you're afraid, because your fear is telling you that you couldn't possibly accomplish it, or maybe even toxic people are in your ear or in your inner circle and trying to convince you that you couldn't accomplish it. But go for it. When I decided to host my first international conference in Paris, France, y'all, I didn't know nobody in Paris. I had never been to Paris. And that's how I know it was going to be a faith walk. Because when you don't know nobody, you ain't never been there, how you gonna host a conference? I had no idea. I just knew it was a vision that was in my spirit, and I wanted to bring other women with me so that they could also add international speaker to their platform. I had already traveled internationally. You guys know last year I got to speak in South Africa. The year before I got to speak in India. But I wanted to create a platform that would give other women who look like me, multicultural women, the opportunity to also go international. So I said, all right, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna host my own international women's conference. You guys, you gotta go check out the pictures on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page. We had 100 people who showed up for this conference in Paris where I ain't know nobody. Come on now. Wow. You know that. Yeah, let's give that. That deserves a round of applause, right?
That's awesome.
But what I tell everybody is it was divinely orchestrated.
Okay.
And I know that because I know I couldn't do it on my own. And so I want to thank and congratulate all the women who said yes, who came from the U.S. Because people are like, well, how did you do it? The how was I left it in God's hands. I put in the work, right? Because the faith without works is dead. So I did the work. I did the plan. I did the preparation. I posted it on social media. I told other people about it. And then I was like, all right, God, you got to take it from here. But literally what I did was I invited women from the U.S. to go with me. So I had, I guess, about 20 women from the U.S. who came with me. They brought their family and friends who came to the conference. Then I posted it on LinkedIn. And someone on LinkedIn saw it and reached out to me and said, I know a woman in Paris who is connected to other business women in Paris. I think you guys would have such good synergy. Guess what? That sister in Paris was open to having a conversation. Then she brought about 15 women from Paris to the conference. And then, check this out, then there was another group of U.S. women who were going to be in Paris at the exact same time we were going to be in Paris. Look, come on now. You know that's not just, oh, it just happened.
Wow.
Right? And they decided to add our conference to their roster of events. So that's how we end up having about 100 people at the conference. So It was phenomenal. It was amazing. I see you, Ladrine. Yes, hashtag AW in Paris. The event is called A Woman's Narrative. Okay. Because if you sit and talk to any woman 5 minutes or longer, you're going to find out she has a narrative.
Absolutely.
She has a story to tell, things that she's been through, lessons that she's learned, and it can add value to your life if you're willing to receive. So just shout out to everybody who has said yes. Oh, I have to give a huge shout out to Miss Mickey Taylor. If you don't know her, I don't know where you've been living at under a rock, but she is the editor-at-large of Essence Magazine. She flew to Paris as our keynote speaker, and when I tell you she dropped the mic and blessed every person in there, just a powerful woman of God who gave us a word that we could live off of that word for the next 3 months. So huge shout out. I emphasize at the event the power of saying yes. And when you say yes, not only is it your own yes, but it becomes a yes for other people. So my yes to answering the call became a yes for the other women who came and got to speak and become international speakers. Wow. Their yes allowed me to fulfill the thing that God had given me, the vision that he had given me. So your yes is more powerful than you know. Wow. All right. So let's move on. Let me introduce my first guest. Sitting here to my left, I can already feel that she just got this power in her. She just waiting. She like, come on, Cheryl, stop talking. Come on, give me the mic. Her name is Elder Cheryl Mercer. And we have to thank Elder Nicole Mason for introducing us and allowing you to come onto the show, connecting us so that you could come onto the show. But Cheryl Mercer is a criminal justice advocate who is a clergy ambassador for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia. Beginning her career when just an undergraduate more than 50 years ago, when she conducted voter registration drives in her native Philadelphia, she has combined education with spirituality and social justice reform to advocate for women who have been caught in the system. Incarcerated women face an uphill battle to get back to their children, their families, and their communities. And Elder Mercer serves as the chair of the board of directors at the Fairview Reentry Center for Women in Washington, D.C., where she leads those community efforts to bring services to women who are returning home from prisons around this nation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
When I read your bio, I was truly inspired by the work that you do.
Thank you.
And the first question for me, and this is just how I function, because I'm a huge proponent of stories.
Yes.
And what is your big why? So why this? Why advocacy for criminal justice reform and women who are reentering?
Well, if I can preface before I answer
Please.
the question, when you mentioned Paris, I have a very good friend in Paris named Ricky Stevenson.
Oh.
She conducts Black Paris tours.
I've heard of that.
You have when you go back, you have got
Absolutely.
to meet Ricky. In fact, I'm going in the fall.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to let her know that you are conducting conferences there.
Yes.
Annually. You're planning to do this annually.
Well, that's what the women in Paris told us. Oh, y'all cannot just come one time.
And we will make the connection. We will make the connection.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. So going back to the origins of this passion for me, growing up in Philadelphia, right outside of the projects, seeing families and young people struggle to find their piece of the pie, struggling in school, struggling with employment, struggling with finances, a lot of single-parent households. And after the Anti-Drug Act was passed in the late 80s, more and more women were incarcerated from that act. And they were given sentences that were tantamount to what men were receiving. One thing we know about women going to prison is that with women being the social connection for families and communities, that pretty much blights our community of the very element that holds us together, the glue, the cultural piece, the education piece, the social, that's women.
Yeah.
And most women who go to prison have children that are left in the system. Sometimes they have family members who are able to care for them. Sometimes they don't. So when they come out, based on the need of when they come out, there may not be resources for them when they come out. And in the age that we're living in, when if you've been incarcerated for 25 years, you may not even know how to use a phone anymore. Some of the ladies I encounter who have to go out and conduct certain kinds of businesses, they remember when there were phone booths on the street. And so one young lady said she went over to a big box that had a big P on it, and she thought it was a phone booth. And she got there and realized she didn't know what to do with it. And someone said, no, this is for parking. And so she cried because she realized, I'm lost. I can't call anybody. I don't know how to use a cell phone. So all the resources that women need coming home, it's just off the chart, actually. So the churches, for the most part, have been the safe haven for communities since forever. And not just churches, the faith-based community overall, no matter what the denomination, whether Christian or not. So part of the work that I began doing, connecting churches to the work of restorative justice, if you will. And so one event, one passion led to another, and I ended up with the Clergy Ambassador Program, which kind of pulls the pillars of the criminal justice system together. So that means the courts, law enforcement, faith-based and community services, persons who have been victimized, prosecutors, and returning citizens. So it puts us all at the table together to talk about how can we restore what's been lost, restore the hope, restore the reverence, restore the feel of community well-being. And so that's what I do with the Clergy Ambassador Program.
Now,
And
is there a personal connection for you?
The personal connection really came out of teaching in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And so on my way to law school, coming out of my undergrad program, on my way, I just finished the LSATs waiting to get into Temple. And the school system opened up and said, we need secondary teachers. Come aboard, we'll give you a master's degree in the interim. And so going into the school system on the secondary level, so many of my young people got lost in the system.
Wow.
Many of them dropped out. And when you have high dropout rates in an urban environment, it's a recipe for
it is.
Yeah,
it's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for increased crime and
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So going into the prisons and the jails to see my young people. I remember going in one time, and I went in to see one person, and I looked around and I saw a plethora of persons that I had known. I'm saying, this is unfathomable. This is not right. Where are the voices of the people who are connected to these young people, who are advocating for these young people? So it started out with just youth and young people. And then from there, I progressed and began to see the numbers of women who were being incarcerated, primarily for drug, alcohol, and domestic violence kinds of offenses.
Now, that's what I was going to ask you. That was actually going to be my next question.
Absolutely.
Is there only a certain dynamic amongst that group that you will take? So is it only nonviolent offenders? Or would you accept someone who was a violent offender who you would still advocate for?
Everybody. And of course you have to have training to do this. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So sensitivity training, understanding the various degrees of offenses that a person may be arrested for. And then, of course, being connected to social service agencies, mental health agencies, and being connected to the criminal justice system. So you don't want to put yourself at risk more than you may need to. But at the same time, everybody deserves a second chance.
I swear, are you reading my mind? Because you got all my questions I'm about to ask you.
Everybody deserves a second chance.
Because I was going to say, let's speak to the other side of it, right?
Absolutely.
Let me play devil's advocate, and someone says, well, that's just what happens when you don't abide by society's rules.
Absolutely.
And, you have to deal with whatever. You got to do your time or whatever.
Absolutely.
So, but your response to that, which you just gave to us so eloquently, is everybody deserves a second chance. Now, let me ask you this question. Are there any of the offenders that you work with who is their third chance or their fourth chance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are women that I've worked with who are lifelong criminals in terms of the fact that they began going in as a teenager. They're 65 now.
Wow.
And they can tell you all the jail houses that they have been to, different states that they have been to. They can tell you which ones work, which ones don't. Some have been incarcerated with Martha Stewart, and they know her story. And at 60, they say, I am finished. I am done with this lifestyle. So in listening to their narrative, in fact, my doctorate degree, I'm finishing it now. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But the gist of that whole piece is the self-narrative of women. And if you listen to that narrative, you can hear stories of violence, of trauma, of abandonment, of sexual abuse, of drug abuse. The entire picture is in that narrative. So you get a better understanding of how this could have happened, how you start out in the 70s, and here we are at 2019, and you're just getting on your feet. You're just beginning to think clearly. And this is the first time in your life you've been clean and sober, really clean and sober, and you can think clearly. And you're meeting your grandchildren for the first time.
Yes. It's just so powerful.
It's very powerful.
And I can't say that I know everything about, the criminal system or anything like that, right? But I do know that as a young child, my father stayed in the criminal system. My father, I think, was in every prison that was in the Maryland area. I remember driving all the way out to Cumberland, Maryland, which seemed like, forever away when you come from Baltimore, girl from the hood.
Absolutely.
I remember him being in the local prisons, and we would take cigarettes and socks and put money on his books, and he would get out for a little while, and then he would end up right back in. And you start to wonder, how does a person shift? How do they change when that's all they know, that's what they're comfortable with? And as you mentioned, when they come out, it's really not set up for them to succeed. They can't. Now you have a record.
Right.
How are you going to get a job?
Right.
You are not adapted to whatever the latest is in technology and everything else that's moving forward.
Absolutely.
Most people don't trust you because you have that criminal, tag attached to you, if you will. So they kind of expect you to fall back in.
Absolutely.
So that's why, for me, I really admire and respect what you do, because somebody's not listening to the show because they calling me. But I admire what you do, because I feel like if people would be given the adequate I don't know if you would call it therapy
tools,
or counseling.
yes, absolutely.
Yes, that it could indeed shift the trajectory of the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
And I love that you're doing that for women because, like you said, women, we're that connector for the pieces, for our children, for our communities. So I just really admire your work more than you even know. And when I saw this, I was like, wow, that's important. So where do you see this going in the next, where do you see your work? What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, from the Second Chance Act, the doors open for education, voter registration, slow but sure, because some states still have banned the box and others don't. Yeah. Housing, educational initiatives. It's a slow move. It's a very slow move. But in a conversation just recently with some Maryland lawmakers, I asked, this current administration, the White House, has put together what is being called the First Step Act. And my question was, is First Step going to replace Second Chance? What's the language of First Step? And what's going to happen with all the gains that have been made? Because one of the things that has been happening in churches and in places of spiritual refuge, it creates a safe environment for people who have been victimized, as well as those returning home, to be able to worship, to be among one another. There's no sign on. There's no one pointing fingers.
Like no judgment
zone.
No
judgment zone. We're here for worship in whatever capacity. And if people want to mentor, and I'm always looking for those who can mentor. If you're strong enough, if you have the patience to mentor women coming home, the church is a wonderful place to get started with that, because it's a safe environment. We can mentor as a group. We can mentor one-on-one, whatever you feel strong enough and safe enough to do. So I see more of that happening as more pastoral leaders come forward to say, I want my sanctuary to be a place where people returning home. And of course, we're still going to hold people accountable. You still have to be accountable for your life. And you're accountable. We're bringing you back into the community. So we want the community to still remain a safe place. So these are the rules. This is how we operate. This is how we flow. And we make ourselves available.
For us to get involved as a community.
Absolutely.
Because here these are individuals who are re-entering.
They're re-entering
our communities.
And as you said, fathers, sisters, aunties, brothers. And because of what we're beginning to see, more and more people coming home, because they realize the criminal justice system is saying, okay, and I have one lady I know for sure was arrested for 25 years. Her son was selling drugs, but her phones had been tapped. And so every conversation she had regarding her son was connected to whatever he was doing.
Wow.
So that kind of sentencing, we're streamlining, we're moving in a whole nother direction, thanks to lawmakers, thanks to law enforcement, thanks to people and advocates in communities all over this country saying the sentencing is simply not fair.
Not fair.
So an overhaul of the entire system, I believe that's what I would like to see. And I would like to see places of imprisonment closing down, if you will. More ways of people coming into the community and being not policed, but being nurtured in communities. Because if you've been abandoned, you don't have rules, you don't know authority, you don't respect authority, you don't know what love feels like, you don't know what connectivity feels like. Communities need to provide safe havens for people to come home. I was talking to my sister here about halfway houses, and that's a part of my dream as well, to be able to get property and to be able to have halfway houses in various communities for women coming home so that they be connected with their families.
Well, it definitely, it's work. It's work to be done.
It's work.
But I do believe collectively as communities, if more of us step up to the plate and just do our part. And your part might be bigger than my part, and it's okay. But everybody's little piece.
Hey,
I can come and mentor a group session, or I can mentor somebody one-on-one, or whatever it is, or I can donate, or whatever it might be. All of those things matter to the overall safety of our communities, the overall thriving of our communities, and us going into a different direction. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us. Wow, we have a lot of people who are just like chiming in. Dr. Mary Huntley says, yes, we as women are the incubators incubators, birthing new paths, dreams, ideas for change.
Thank you, Dr. Mary.
Yes, she says definite overhauling of the sentencing system needs to change. Tarina Ali says yes, housing is a big issue. Terry Tabor says great for women and men. Tarina says we need social supports to help returning citizens.
Yes.
Everybody's just chiming in. They're loving the topic.
Absolutely
Tell them how they can
wonderful.
connect with you before we take our break and bring on our next guest.
Thank you. So for those who want to get involved with the U.S. Attorney's Office, please go to the website for the U.S. Attorney's Office. There's a link there for Clergy Ambassador Program. Get your pastor, or if you are in any faith capacity as a faith capacity leader, connect there to see how you may get involved. And then to get connected with me personally through my ministry, Women of Worth Fellowship at gmail.com, and we can have a conversation.
Good. We're going to have you back. Because this is something that I feel like we could get even more people. Like I'm looking at all these comments, we get even more people engaged. We could have a question and answer session.
Thank you.
We would love to definitely have you back. Again, for me, it touches home personally because I witnessed it firsthand as a young girl growing up in Lafayette Projects in Baltimore, Maryland.
Wow.
And everything that it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I admire your work. I love your work. I respect it that you're giving people an option. They're giving them that second chance to say you don't have to return back. Just because you know what that's like and you know what it feels like and it's comfortable, you don't have to return that.
Absolutely.
So keep up the great work. Thank you so
Cheryl.
much. All right, guys, we're going to take a brief break and we're going to be back with our next guest, the amazing, the dynamic Sonia Prince Ward. Stay tuned. Thank you. That was phenomenal. Great work.
We have powerful words. We have powerful minds.
So impressed.
We use our
was good
voices
stuff, right,
and
guys?
freedom
Wow.
takes flight. And we're ready to work. We're ready to win. We have a strategy and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over.
Good stuff, right, guys? Thanks for being here.
Playtime is over.
Welcome.
Now you are a champion.
Awesome, Tarina. That's awesome.
God is my witness. Imperfect perfection. Living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop.
Good. This is my
I have the
last guest.
confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough and now I see. I will reach my destiny. I don't need your permission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'll win. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, but then you want to focus on the marriage boot camp.
Now listen, I want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Because we're going to make some declarations in here today. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say,
Okay. You do a lot to make it work. Okay. Now, first let's start with this.
I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say,
Can she come on?
oh,
Okay, yeah. Because my mom.
say I'm building my legacy
Yeah.
for the whole world to see. You say,
All right, we're going to have to move quickly, guys.
we are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Hey, yeah. We have powerful words. We have powerful minds. We use our voices and free.
All right, so welcome back. I told you that we have some dynamic women who are in the studio today. I'm super excited now to introduce two powerhouse women who are making their own unique impact in the world. To my left here is Sonia Prince Ward and her mama. Hey, mama.
Hi.
Alice
Hey.
Prince Hall. So let me just go ahead and introduce Minister Sonia Prince Ward. She's married with 4 children. She attends Victory Deliverance Temple in Accokeek, Maryland, under Chief Apostle and Pastor Small. She's the owner of Prince of Peace Assisted Living Facilities, where they have 4 locations here in Prince George's County and in Montgomery County. She also works for the Department of Veterans Affairs. She says she is ordained to do what she does, and actually was ordained into ministry in 2016 and has been running for Christ ever since. I love that. I've been running for Christ ever since. Minister Ward has supernatural favor, she says, and it is evidenced by her supernatural faith. Welcome.
Thank you.
So look,
Thank
so
you
I
for
know
having
that
me.
you're just, doing all kind of amazing things in the world and in our community, you and your husband and your mom. So let's start with one and then we'll transition into the other. So the first thing I want to talk about is Prince of Peace Assisted Living Facility. How did you get started with that, and tell us what that's all, what's the mission and the vision of it?
Okay, so Prince of Peace is assisted living for senior citizens.
Mm-hmm.
One of my mother's friends was actually in the business and decided to sell. And my mother came to me. She said, look, I think we should go check it out. That was in 2000. Pretty much the rest is history. We went to look at this facility. It was already up and running. We had to go in, do some mild renovations, and sort of make it our own. That was in 2000. It really, really went well for us. And it's my mother's gifts. Like, she's amazing with the residents, with the business side of it, the caregiving, everything. I'm more behind the scenes. I do the budget, the staffing, that sort of thing. But I have done the caregiving. Don't get me wrong. I've done it all. When you have your own business, you got to step in and do it all. When people don't show up for work, then it's me in there, you know, literally washing, cleaning, taking care of your loved ones. But it's our ministry, because what me and my mom always say, we're the last people that they're going to see before they leave this earth. So we bring in ministers. We have church with them. We make sure before you leave here, we're going to introduce you to Jesus Christ. We're going to introduce you to, you know, what we know, to be our God. We just introduce you. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to know him. And then before you leave, we want to make sure that you have the best care. We're going to treat you like you're our grandparents. You know, we get connected. We get attached to our residents, you know, just like they're our own. As a matter of fact, my father passed in 2003. She remarried, but my grandmother, which is my father's mother, my mother took care of her until the day that she died. So, and my grandmother died at 99. So she lived a long, you know, a wonderful life, but it was a blessing to be able to take care of her.
Yeah, I mean, I have a client of mine who actually does the similar work. She has assisted living facilities, and she says a lot of people will put their parents or grandparents there because it's a greater connection, and it's even, they feel like it's greater care because you're not in this huge hospital setting where there are 30 other people on one nurse, or however many it might be. So how many do you accept in each facility? Does it vary?
So do you want to?
Okay, the state of Maryland has, we can only have 5 if we don't have a sprinkler system. But if we have a sprinkler system and we have the room, we can have, you know, many. Okay. So we have 4 facilities. In Tacoma Park, we have a sprinkler system there. So we have 10 residents there. And then in Fort Washington and Tantallion, we have 2 facilities. Each have 5 residents. And then we have one in Cheltenham, which we have 4 residents.
That's fantastic. Now, are the residents, are they individuals who are just, they're aging, or is it like a combination of they're aging and they have some type of diagnosis where they need ongoing care and someone around the clock watching them?
It's definitely a combination. Most of our residents have Alzheimer's, dementia. I mean, it ranges from early stages where, oh my God, they're forgetting, you know, their keys, or they're forgetting their medicine. They're forgetting where, you know, I forgot where I put my purse, and your family realizes, you know, maybe you shouldn't be by yourself. Maybe you shouldn't be alone. But like you said, we don't want to put you in an institution. We want to put you in like, you know, we want to make it feel like home. So when our families come in, the first thing I tell them, listen, this is your room. Make it their own. Bring your pictures. Bring your furniture. Make them feel right at home. And that's what they do. And I love it when I have family members that are active. We have at my mom, because my mom lives at one of the facilities in the basement, and there's a lady that comes there every single day with her mother, every single day. And I just think that's such a blessing because I've had residents that get dropped off and we don't see the family again, you know.
And do you do group activities there?
We do group activities. We have an activity lady that comes in at my mom's. The ones in Fort Washington, I think she goes twice a week. I have her coming once a week in Cheltenham. I think she goes twice a week in Tacoma Park. But that's all she does. She goes and she plays games with them. They do arts and crafts. And I mean, the residents, they get excited when they see her coming. They're like, oh, playtime, you know?
Yeah. My sister, most of you know that my sister is a nurse. She's been an LPN since we graduated high school. We went to a vocational technical high school in Baltimore. So she came out, passed the bar, and has been a nurse since she was 18. Now she's back, and we're 45 now, and she's going for her RN. So in the next probably year and a half, she'll have her RN. But she works with a lot of clients who are patients, I should say, who have dementia and all that, right? And she says how, like, it just hurts her heart that a lot of times these people, nobody comes to see them. Like, they're just there, just sitting in the chair or sitting at wherever, and nobody's coming to see them.
And please believe, because I know it's we seem to think that it's only in other communities, but no, it's in our community too. I've got people that get dropped off, and I have to call them. I'm like, hey, your family member has a birthday next week. We're going to throw them a cookout. We just want you to come. I'm not asking you to bring anything. Just come. And, you know, a lot of times they will, because they feel like, well, dang, at least I can do is show up, you know. So they'll come and support that way. But we really have to go out of our way sometimes to bridge that gap.
But I love that. I love that you are taking that additional step. Like, that's what we call going above and beyond. Right? You don't have to go throw a birthday nothing for nobody, and you're doing it as a way to make, and that's important, I think, as the people that we love grow older. Still leave them with their dignity, still let them know that they're loved, that they're cared for. I think about my mom who's aging now. My dad passed away in 2009, but my mom who's aging, and I'm like, you know, I want her to feel as loved as she made me feel loved when she was raising me, right? Because that's just kind of the circle of life. It's like, you know, your parents take care of you, raise you. Then look at here, now it's your turn. And I preach that to my kids. My kids know. Look at here, let me tell you something. When I'm old, don't have me at the grocery store trying to buy my own groceries. You better come bring me some daggone groceries once a week or something, right? You know, I preach that all the time.
It's funny you said that. My little sister, well, she's 10 years younger, but she teases my mom. She say, Mom, don't worry, I'm not going to put you in Prince of Peace. And I just think that is so funny, you know, because, but I'm just so thankful that God gave my mother this vision because, like she was explaining earlier, she claims that I wasn't on board at first when she brought this to me.
Tell us, Mom, tell us the real story.
Okay, the real story. I was working for the Department of Justice, and one of these security guards was talking to me one day. I was waiting for my husband to pick me up. And he told me, he said, I have an assisted living facility in Tacoma Park, and I'm getting ready to move. I'm going to South Carolina. And so I said, well, I have a sister there, and she does that. So he said, well, give me her name and address, and I'll talk to her. In the meantime, when I went to church, my pastor said, the Lord showed me you and $450,000. And I said, now, Bishop, you have preached me off the lottery. So where in the world am I going to get $450,000?
I love it.
But he said, I don't know. I just know that's what the Lord showed me. And so then about a month later, my sister called, and she said, your friend is here from Justice. I said, I ain't got no friend in Sumter from Justice. She said, yes, you do. She said, and he's putting his assisted living on the market. You all ought to go look at it. She said, that's our gift. I said, no, I'm going to retire in 4 years, and I'm going to relax and travel. And she said, no, that gets old real quick. And she said, that's our gift. She said, we have, Mom and Papa have always had their house open to help somebody else. She said, we are servers. That's what we do. We serve people. So she talked me into going to see it. And to make a long story short, me and my husband, who has passed away, the first husband, we went and we saw it. I fell in love with it. He had never heard of such. But, he went along because I was enthused. And so then I called Sonia, and I said, Sonia, let me tell you. She said, I ain't doing that.
I don't remember that conversation.
She pleads the fifth.
I said, come on, Sonia, let's just go look at it.
Right.
And so I talked into it. We went and looked at it. And to make a long story short, I asked the lady how much. She said $450,000. I said, okay, that's what Bishop was talking about. So that's how we got started with that one. And then my husband passed away 3 years later. And I moved from up there because it was so hard because we lived there, and all the residents, they loved him, and I couldn't get over.
Right.
Because every time I would walk in the room, somebody had something to say. Where is it? Seniors don't, they're children.
Exactly. They call it like it is.
They call it like it is.
Kids tell it like it is, so do seniors.
So I moved.
Our like my dad, he had pancreatic cancer, and so it was very, it was hard seeing him go through that, but one of the consolations was I got to take care of him. So I had the nurses train me how to give him his medicine. I was trained in hospice, to take care of him. And so literally right up until the time that he passed, he was in our facility and I was taking care of him. And so ironically enough, my husband and I, my family, we're moving back to that house. My husband has done all the renovations. We have an upstairs apartment that we usually have for management. So we are actually going to move into that apartment and just, be on site for a while, maybe a year, 2 years. My kids aren't happy about it, but they'll be all right. They'll get over it.
They'll get over it, exactly.
So I'm really excited about moving back and being on site at, because that's our largest facility. The ones in PG County, they're doing well. My mom lives at one. We got family. I mean, all of my mother's brothers and sisters practically are in one of our locations. Like, that's such a blessing.
Well, see, I'm the youngest of 12. So my oldest sister is 92. Then my other brother is 90. And it comes all the way down 2 years.
At that.
All the way down.
I'm just telling you, when you are, like you said, that bishop who told you that, like, this is what you were, this is what's going to happen, and your sister reminded you, we're servers. Like, that's why we do this show. It's called Impact the World for a reason, because everybody is meant to impact other people's lives in some way. And so I feel like you are blessed to be that blessing to your brothers and your sisters, right?
Absolutely.
And you two get to continue to bond and nurture your own relationship through working. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. My daughter and I are very close. My daughter's only 15 right now. And I'm just like, please, Lord, just let us keep being friends. We have a great relationship. But I look at you, and to me, that gives me hope. And that, no, you're not going to agree on things all the time. However, the love, I think, and the closeness from doing something like this. So just kudos to both of you. I love people who love and care for older people. I think it's something special about them, and I think everybody can't do it, and so we need the people who love it. It has to be your gift. Yes, and that's their gift and that's their passion. We need those individuals to step up. So thank you for stepping up to the plate. As we start to kind of wrap up in these last 5 minutes, I do want to shift to another topic, because I know that, like I said, girl, you do a whole lot. Your daughter is just multi-talented and multifaceted in what she does and how she serves the world. And I know that you and your husband do this. I believe it's you and your husband do a marriage boot camp retreat, which just passed. Maybe a week or so ago. Tell us about that, how did that come about, and what's the intention around that?
Okay, so it was May 17th and 18th, and we did it right here at Colony South, and it was incredible. Awesome. So my cousin says I'm an overachiever. I wanted 100 couples, but I thank God for the 17 couples that I had at this retreat, because with 17, you're more intimate, and we really got a chance to impact those marriages. And can I just say, I got a call this morning with the praise report. The lady said, look, I know your retreat worked, because my husband threw away all my winter shoes and I didn't go off on him. I remember what you told me at that retreat. And I mean, I just got so excited, because even though it's funny, but it's people taking the tools that we gave them, because God showed me if we can fix marriages, if we can start to fix families again, then we can really begin to build the kingdom of God, because that's what it's about. The enemy hates to see marriages. He hates to see families. And if he can come in and cripple that, then he's done something. But if you can come in and just give people the tools, we go to class for everything else. Let's start going to class on how to do this marriage thing right. And I thank God for my husband. He's awesome. He taught.
Can we give a shout out to the husband?
He is awesome. He actually taught the class on consideration. And people came back and said, you know what, we like the fact that it was the man teaching that one. How to be considerate of your spouse. I taught communication. I taught consistency. Don't start off great and then fall off. You got to be consistent in your marriage. And so it was awesome. We had Pastor Portia Taylor. She taught us how to fight fair. We had Bishop and First Lady Zimmerman teaching us about blended families. We really need to have conversations about that. And we had my pastor, Chief Apostle, and Pastor Prophet Small. They did the vow renewal ceremony, and it was incredible. All the women were dressed in white. They came down the aisle.
That's so beautiful.
My pastor anointed and prayed for every single one of the couples. It was incredible. It really was. And I'm just excited. And I know we got like 2 minutes. I just wanted to say.
She know my time better than I know my time, and I love it.
I just want to say that when God gave me that vision, I just moved forward. I had a lot of obstacles in the way, but I went to my mom, and she said, look, if you do it, I'm with you. If you don't do it, I'm with you. So I had my mother's support. My mother, she actually sponsored 2 couples. My little sister sponsored a couple. People on my job sponsored couples. So I was able to let everybody who wanted to be there, be there. So the next vision that God has given me is a retreat for women. He said the theme is going to be locked and loaded. Women locked in position, loaded with power. And he said we've got to be more unified in the body of Christ. You know, a lot of women have testimonies, they have stories, and nobody knows what they're going through. So one of the sessions is going to be just a panel. And I want each woman to give up and give their testimony for 2 minutes. And it's going to be called Am I My Sister's Keeper? You don't know my story. And after you see and hear these stories, and then you're like, whoa, I've been interacting with her all week, and I had no idea that she was going through that. And we can start to begin to love one another, because that's what God commands us to do. The first commandment says to love. Love your neighbor like yourself. And so I'm just excited.
Well, we can tell you excited, and we love your excitement and your energy. You know, guys, I speak all across the world, and one of the things I say is that your energy will always speak for you before you ever open your mouth. And so your energy it exudes that excitement and that enthusiasm and the passion that we know this is what you're supposed to be doing. We know that you're supposed to be touching people's lives, whether it's through supporting women and empowering them, or it's couples, or even through empowering our aging families to know that they still have value. Like that is your gift. It's clear. And so we're blessed to be able to be impacted by it just a little bit here on the radio show. I want you to give people a way that they can stay connected with you, and then we'll take a break and come back with our final guest.
Okay, awesome. So on Facebook, you can find me. I have a segment every morning. It's Morning Glory with Minister Sonia. I just give an inspirational word. On Facebook, it's at Morning Glory 32. You can find me, Sonia Prince Ward. On Instagram, it's Blessed Princess _003. Phone number? Do I give that?
You can do whatever anything you want them to have now. Don't get mad when they start calling you.
Prince of Peace. We have a website, www.princeofpeaceal.com. www.princeofpeaceal.com, and all the contact information is on there as well. And just really quickly, I brought you some gifts.
Come on now,
so
I like gifts.
I told you that I've already started with this women's retreat, and I have Dr. Lena. She is incredible. She's out of Denver. Awesome. She actually goes to Karen Clark Shear's church, and she's going to be one of my presenters. She's going to teach us about nutrition. So this fan is for you.
Awesome.
I brought you a couple of shirts.
All right now.
This one was the shirt we did at the retreat.
How you know I was hot, girl?
Look, this shirt, it says, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. And I'll tell you about that one after the show.
I see words on there. I love it.
That's for you. Much. And then my mom and I, we wanted to give you some Prince of Peace pens.
I love pens.
And our church.
How y'all know?
Can I shout out my church?
Really quickly,
okay.
Yes.
Victory Deliverance Temple. We have services in Akakik Academy. Please join us. This is a pen from my church. And these
okay, so she's going to finish giving me all my gifts and my goodies. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with our final guest, who, guys, drove here all the way from Philadelphia. Wow. So we want to make sure we give her adequate time. So we will be right back. Thank you so much to Sonia. Thank you so much to your mom, Alice. We'll be right back.
We have powerful words. We have powerful minds. We use our voices and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work. We're ready to win. We have a strategy and Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection. Living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough and now I see. Yeah, I will reach my destiny. Yeah, I don't need your permission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'll win. Oh, oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now listen, I want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Because we're going to make some declarations in here today. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say, oh, say I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, we are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, shoulder to...
All right. I mean, it's just been so juicy today. We need more time in the studio, but I'm going to make sure this sister next to me gets her adequate time. Her name is Michelle Snow. She's the founder of Michelle Snow Co., LLC, which is a full suite career coach firm. The firm provides motivation performance solutions, incorporating both professional and leadership development services for corporations, college students, and community groups such as businesses, faith-based, and beyond. Welcome to the show.
Oh gosh,
you drove a nice little long way to get here. So welcome. We're super excited to have you here. And we have to thank Tawanda Livingston for connecting us and having you to come on to the show. I love sisters who have that power of connecting others, right?
I'm grateful.
And they have that abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. So tell us more about how you got started in training for leadership and professional development, why it means so much to you, and there's something that you have called Snow 100. So give us all the details, juicy details on that.
Well, first of all, you know, I would love to tell you that it was just this grand epiphany, and I woke up one day and got this big calling. But the truth is, I'm a church girl. I was raised in church, and so when you're raised that way, the whole point of service and love and giving and empowerment, it's just oozed in you and out of you. But my challenge was that I had grew up in a cultural environment where what we spent most of our time on was eating, and I'm not sure if I said this, eating. Okay, I might have left that out. And so I said, there's got to be more to life than going to church and eating and getting fat and then trying to shout it off on Sunday morning, right? So my first, I guess, vision was called Saved and Satisfied Ministries. And that was when we decided to just kind of have some fun in Christ. But that was just a foundation. That was just where I learned leadership skills and development and engaging people. It wasn't until 2013 that I applied my education, college, and corporate experience and said, wait a minute, we're believers who are in the workplace, who are in business. What if we had those skills that we're teaching in the world, but not in the house of God? So that was the foundation. But this is a big but. What I didn't understand at the time was that the territory that I was in, the church community was not ready to start doing professional development in my territory, which was completely devastating. And so I took my gifts to the world. But even in that was a powerful, because I got a chance to broaden who God would have me to serve.
Absolutely. And there's so much power in that. I work with a lot of clients who they do a lot of faith-based training, whether it's professional or personal development and leadership training, or there are people who are on the other side of it. And it's like, the people who are faith-based want to cross over into marketplace. The people who are marketplace want to cross over into faith-based. But I think we're in a beautiful time now in society where it is more acceptable, where people who are even in faith-based are looking for leadership skills, because that's what you're doing. You're leading people. And that is something that has to be developed. You're not just born with leadership skills. I don't care if it's faith-based or not, or corporate. You have to develop those skills, just like speaking. Speaking is my natural gift, but I don't take that for granted.
Right.
I still have to develop and hone in on how do I become the best, most effective communicator possible. So I love that you're doing that. Where do you want your work to be 5 years? I always like to do 3 to 5 years. So give us your 3 to 5 vision of what's going to be different in your business. What will you have spearheaded or blazed the trail for?
Well, I think, one of the things that we have to do as leaders is always be very transparent and open about what you do well. And the truth is, what I do well is relationships. What I do well is celebrating and supporting and sharing other people. And while people have said to me, you've got to get away from these small businesses, you got to just do corporate, I understand what they're saying from a bank responsibility. And there's 2 or 3 entrepreneurs that court that, right? Yeah. From a banking perspective, I understand that the smaller business don't have as much resources. But I truly believe that development, encouragement, positivity, love, because there's so much hate out here, right? While I don't focus on that, I believe that we are called truly to the masses. So I do expect to be on world stages. But above that, once I get past my awards, being on stage, ticket sales, a great audience, great energy, now what? What's the lasting impact? I am tired of my sisters who have worked 30 and 40 years at their jobs, who get displaced, who become a widow, who have some financial problems, and they've got to go to the government for a $10 check. So I want to be a place where people can sow into, where we can be able to help people who are in financial distress, have the grants, have money, have resources, and development. A real place of a vision center. We should not have to go to welfare for help. We should not have to go to food stamps for help. And people are embarrassed, they are afraid, and they're ashamed because they feel like, well, I'm an executive. I worked 30 years, but I've got to stand in this line. And they should not have to do that unless there's just no other resources. So I want to be a resource for them with dignity, that they can have help, they can have training, and they can have development. While those resources are helpful, I was raised on them. Mama had the little pack. Who remembers the little pack of the paper where you tore them out? I was raised on them. I was in the cheese line. But I'm saying, as a woman now who has worked and served and been to college, we need more resources than just that one.
Okay, got it. So it sounds like I'm going to call you what I called the sister before. I'm going to call you multi-talented and multifaceted. So it sounds like there's a combination of things that you're able to do. You're able to go in and teach leadership skills, and that's something that you have, as you mentioned, through your own experience and also through education, you've developed that. But also you have a bigger vision for being a leader to the masses. And that, I think, is where this piece comes in, about the bigger vision. We're having those resources and the things that are kind of that pull at your heartstrings, right? It sounds like it's a part of your heart work that you're going to also provide resources and tools and education for people when they fall upon hard times.
In 30 seconds, I want to make this point very clear. People see us. They see the radio show. They see you on stage. They see the ticket sales. They see all of the accolades on our resume, but they don't see the work it takes to become that. They don't see the sacrifice. They don't see the tears. They don't see your losses. They don't see what you gave up so that you can be here in this beautiful, wonderful studio. And I want to be a voice to show them that there is sacrifice, there is much commitment to put into it, and don't be so enticed and addicted to the shine and the bubble gum and all the enthusiasm and the accolades, and that we forget that we're serving. And that's what's happened in my industry. There's so many sharks out here who are biting the people of God because we're desperate, we're hungry, and everybody want to chase that paper. But they don't know what it took to get it. And so I want to be a place of transparency, that everything that what you see, it just ain't that.
So multi-talented. Come on now. It sounds like you have a lot of amazing missions in the world of what you want to teach people and what you want to show people who are also going to be leaders. Because when you can, it's like they say, you can either feed somebody the fish or you can teach them how to fish.
Come on now.
And it's like what you're going to do is you're going to teach other people how to be leaders. You're going to show them how to develop more leaders.
Character.
So that we can have people who are able to stand on their own 2 feet, and then help somebody else learn how to stand on their own 2 feet. I love it.
Character.
I think it's very, very powerful.
Character is critical, because we're in a society now where the media is teaching them be mean, be disrespectful, just get the money, just to get the paper. And then we have so much war in our community. So yes, leadership is an inside job.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. And so Snow 100, tell us about that. As we get ready to wrap up, and there's something that you live by, the training series, Best Advice No One Gave Me. Tell us about both of those, the training series and the membership Snow 100.
So now we have a place where people call me for all kinds of things. Can you find me a band, to an employee, to an accountant, to a hairdresser? We get it all because I'm a people person. So now in Snow 100, we've organized so that we can market and share those resources. I would say that it's similar to an Angie's List, but it's got a little bit of Black girl magic on it, and something I'm really proud of. So Best Advice No One Gave Me is a series of professional development training that helps not only corporations and small businesses, but I'm excited to say that even though the church wasn't ready for me 6 years ago.
Come on now.
Hey! The church has called me back, and that's come from my own healing. So I thank God that we serve not only corporations, colleges, and community, but we also serve faith-based with Best Advice to be your best self.
I love that. Because I don't know if that's already a book, that should be a book.
It's coming.
Come on. Okay, I'm just saying, you better scoop it up. Well, I'm a scoop. No, I wouldn't do that.
It's coming.
But look, everybody is
and
saying.
And it's trademarked. Hey.
I love it. That's right. You better trademark that stuff. Yes, everybody says, come through. I don't know what's going on with my little thing here. Good works, good word today. Impact over impressing people. Leadership is an inside job. Yes, they are loving it. We are loving everything that you're doing, how you're showing up, how you're teaching us to be leaders. Again, whether it's in corporate space, whether it's in the faith-based space, whether it's in the entrepreneurial space, we all need to develop those skills, right?
Yes.
And then we need to go out and teach others. So there's one of the quotes I love is that, true leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders.
That's right.
And that's what it sounds like you're doing in the world. How do people connect with you, stay connected with you, or even reach out if they want to become a part of some of the initiatives that you are spearheading?
Well, because we live in the digital age, you can always do the old familiar. You can Google search me at Michelle Snow Career Coach. Now, if you look up Michelle Snow, you're going to find the NBA player. I'm not that girl.
That ain't her.
But if you put in Michelle Snow Career Coach, that's the Google. But otherwise, go to growwithsnow.com.
I like that. Growwithsnow.com.
That's it.
And are you that on social media as well?
I'm all things Michelle Snow Career Coach on social media.
All right. So you guys have it there. Look her up. Support. Do your part to help develop more leaders, and then we will certainly be in a place where all of us are able to move forward, move our communities forward, move ourselves forward, just kind of move the dial. And sometimes it takes a little while to move the dial, just like you said, the faith-based had to come back 6 years later.
Yeah, but they came back.
But when you keep working towards something, when you believe in it, when you're passionate about it, guess what? Eventually somebody's going to pay attention.
Yeah.
And eventually that need is going to be exposed for more than just you. And other people will realize it, and you'd be surprised. And they'll come right back to the person, to the source, because you were the one who blazed the trail from the get-go.
That's the whole point of never giving up.
Never giving up. Absolutely. You got to keep. And that's why when we say impact the world, it's knowing in your authentic truth that you are doing what you are called to do. When you know that, there is no quitting. There's no going back. There's no I'm going to stop because it got hard. You just keep going. In my Impact Nation, they know we keep barking and barking and barking and barking until somebody pays attention. So I want you to get out into the world. I want you to use your unique gift. Keep barking and barking and barking until somebody pays attention. Your unique gift is necessary. We will see you guys here. I don't even know what the date is. We're only here once a month now. Why? Because God has me traveling all over the world, touching lives and impacting lives. But we will see you next month in the month of June. I think it's like the last Wednesday of the month, but we'll post it up on social media so you can make sure you know when we're here. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Awesome. You guys have a great afternoon.
win. We have a strategy, and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion.